We are coming off of the biggest movie in animated history, if I'm not mistaken. Zach and I had the chance to catch this one
Breaking
a little
all
bit
the
early. We had the
records.
privilege, to break every single
Honor.
record except a competent script. Super Mario Bros. The movie has come in beating Mickey Mouse, another white-gloved, Big M superhero to many people, one of the biggest icons of all time. But it stood no chance to the Mario Brothers with the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Zach, you've had a weekend to simmer with this. Now that you know
Yeah.
that it's the biggest movie of all time, have you been illuminated? Have you seen what the masterpiece in this movie really is now that 6-year-olds have gotten the chance to go see it at the box office?
No, I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, like we were maybe a tiny bit harsh, but it is kind of a boring movie. You know, we got one comment on our Mario review that's also up on the channel already that asked, why is it better for a movie to make pop culture references instead of Mario references? And it's a good point. Like, it's not necessarily better, but I think the thing that I was trying to get to, and that, yeah, exactly. The point that we were both trying to get to is it's not that it's better. It's just that that's all that's kind of going on in this Mario movie. It's just Mario. And like, that's cool if you love Mario, but it's like, it's a very unimaginative place to start this, what is obviously about to become like a cinematic universe. And I wish there was just a little bit more that they brought to the table, but you know, maybe they're saving it all for the Luigi's Mansion movie.
Hey, and if that's the case, I was looking up like what they have in store, and I'm almost like, man, I may not like this one, but you may have something up in the future. We're gonna get to this one and a bunch of the other movies that came out either in theaters, on streaming. We even have some pretty good TV stuff that's out there. Some of my favorites that are still rolling out of South by that we didn't get the chance to see. But Zach, I'm hoping you had a good weekend for the most part. I'm sure you've been able to go out now that the weather's kind of getting a little bit better. I don't know if you have any other movie stories or escapades that you've been able to go on in this past week, because we've done so many festivals. I've just been enjoying finding solace in my local movie theater. It's just been a blast to go in for one, Lord forbid, 2 movies, and then just be able to call it a day.
Exactly. Go enjoy some nice weather for a change. That's mostly been my focus, is like just spend a little time in the sun. I guess this upcoming week is going to be one where I'm spending a lot more time in the movie theater because we got a couple screenings. There's also that Ari Aster Selects thing that I mentioned to you is starting over at the Film Center. So I'm going to try and catch the Albert Brooks film Defending Your Life, which I've never seen before, so I'm excited to do that. I got tickets to Raging Bull. It's a new 4K restoration at Film Forum. I'm doing some classic diving. Yeah.
That's really good. Dude, look at you. Here in Chicago, we have a couple of things going on. Hot Docs is happening, so a lot of the documentaries that we mentioned at Sundance, at South by, it's being played here at the Gene Siskel Center. Beautiful theater, right off of State, if I'm not mistaken, right in front of the Chicago Theater. They have some really good documentaries. I think it is a total of 10. I think that's why it's called Doc 10. I was really hoping they had the Stephen James one. I heard some people are going to be speaking from Hoop Dreams, but he had that new one that we missed from South by. I was telling Zach that we were walking into the State Theater, and Tim Robbins from the Netflix show comes out just reeling about what he had just seen. We did the math. Yeah, it was this new Steve James doc. You will be able to catch a lot of our other favorites that are playing there. There are a couple that I missed, and I'm going to try to make it out for. But besides Hot Docs that's happening here, we also have the Cine Youth Festival, which is a bunch of short films from a lot of Chicago-based filmmakers. They do like a 60 to hour and a half compilations of a bunch of different shorts. They're hosting them in different theaters, if I'm not mistaken, but not only are they all free, you can go online to the Cine Youth Chicago Shorts thing. You can book them. Zach, you're not even here in Chicago. You can book free virtual tickets to watch every single short that's being made, because some of these shorts even end up at the Chicago Fest. So before you want to spend money at the Chicago International, you can actually watch a lot of these shorts for free in the comfort of your own home. So just giving those a shout out there. A lot of different movie things before we have our next big festivals, which I think for you will be Tribeca.
Yeah, Tribeca coming up in June. Eventually we'll make our way to Toronto, maybe in September.
That's so far out. My Evil Dead Festival at the Couch, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm working on before that movie. But let's get into the stuff for this week, starting with theaters. And we talked about the one that's the biggest Mario. We have our review, so we've kind of got all of that out of the way when it comes to our discussions about the movie. I don't think it's really changed because when it really came down to critics versus the average moviegoer and the big split that has happened, it's never had anything to do with box office, as we've clearly seen with the numbers that have come in. But on top of that, it's been so interesting to hear the critics go, hey, this movie has no story. And then people go, how dare you? We weren't looking for one. So it's almost like both agree with each other. I have yet to see anybody disagree with each other other than wanting to go at what they feel is like a part of what they grew up with. I grew up with Mario, dude. After watching this movie, yes, it made me go back. We booted up that Switch. The Switch comes with all these emulators. Yo, the Nintendo 64 one threw us back. We were playing Star Fox. We were playing Mario Golf. We were playing the old Mario Kart. And I see what they're building this up to, dude. Super Mario Bros. The movie is just the appetizer to what's going to be the Star Fox movie. When I told Alina they might be working on a Kirby movie, her mouth got, no disrespect to her, as big as Kirby. She was
Kirby-like.
Kirby-like. They're going to build this Marvel Avengers style thing. And then I realized, they're going to end up climaxing with a Super Smash Bros. Movie. This multiverse of just everything you can throw at the wall from Nintendo. But what's been crazy, Zach, and I want to ask you this. Do people not care if anything's a product anymore? Because when it came to The Incredibles 2, no one batted an eye that was coming with an extension for Disney, the Disney theme parks. Clearly, you can go to the Wikipedia page, and before you even get to the plot summary, it says that the Nintendo guy had a deal with Universal for the parks, and then was like, yeah, the parks are going so well, let's start working on that movie to intertwine them together. People don't want to see that as a thing. And that's where I get into this iffy mode. So in your point of view, do audiences even care for a standalone cohesive story, or have we been led to believe that everything needs to be connected with something else?
I think it's the latter, and for me that feels unfortunate, but I do think that's the case right now, where audiences, if anything, celebrate the fact that the film world can be an extension of the things they like in other places. There's more of the stuff that I already like rather than something that I'm unfamiliar with. And to an extent, I get it, right? Like, people who have busy schedules and who don't, like us, make a lot of time to go see a lot of movies. If they're only going to see a couple films, it's nice to have some guarantee that it's going to be at least about something you care about, or involve some things and elements that you recognize. So it's hard for me to blame the average consumer, but I do feel like there is something lacking in just the pursuit of familiar feelings, right? Like, it's kind of cool
either, right?
to, right? Like, it's just repackaged them. Exactly. Whether it's a remake or a reboot of some previous IP, or if it's, in the case of the Mario movies, just sort of repackaging all these familiar elements, but in the form of a film, it ultimately just feels like less rewarding. And I wonder at what point, like, I don't think it's going to happen next year or the year after that, but we're going to get to a point where, are we just going to be iterating on these reiterations? Like, to make the next big franchise, what's the original property that it's going to come from?
Yeah. I have them on the record. Chris Pratt literally goes, what really is an IP? Anyway, they're trying, and this is the only part where I get that. Look, I don't care about this split. I don't think that the average moviegoer, cinema is dependent on them. No, things change to whatever it needs to be. I understand that this movie is for kids. I don't understand getting upset that people want a story when you weren't looking for one. And more so, everybody agrees that it's an Easter egg filled thing that you're going for, where, when people take kids to the theme park?
Yeah.
And, like, they wonder, is my 6-year-old going to remember this trip, or should I just have waited till they were, like, 13? You realize really quickly that the kid's not really going to remember it, but the parent remembers the smile on the kid's face. And it has been nothing but people going like, well, my kid had fun with it. Cool. If your kid's a reviewer, shout out them. But I forgot when we started kind of gearing things towards that. I think it's okay for the movie to not be received well critically, but it still be a blast. I have no
Yeah.
problem with people loving the movie, and a lot of the debate comes, you're not supposed to like it. I don't think that's what it should be. But I think
And that's
when we're
not what
ignoring,
critics are saying.
exactly, it becomes like the Marvel thing, where the Marvel movies can't just own the box office. They should also be given the Oscars and the Emmys. And it's like, all right, then this
They have
becomes
to
a
own
different type
every
of
sector.
domination. Yeah, and I think that gets really weird because I agree with you. When it comes to films like these, a lot of people felt like, oh, there's this agenda from the critics, which I only find funny because I ain't Rotten Tomatoes approved anything, bro. You know this. I am not
Right?
approved in any sense. So, like, I am a critic when someone wants me to be a critic, and I am also just a YouTuber when someone wants me to be a YouTuber. Because of that, I know there's this big thing that, oh, people don't like Chris Pratt, and the agenda is against him. You've seen the Rotten Tomato scores where people are like, see, there is this pattern. Well, what about these? Those don't matter to my pattern, so they're ignored. And I hate those combos, bro. It's just gotten boring when it comes to that bit.
Yeah.
Let's stick to that Chris Pratt thing. This is one of the best animated movies to have come out. Zach, I had it taken
Lego
out of my
movie?
shelf.
Yeah.
I don't understand this debate about like, oh, people just don't like Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's in this movie. You want to
No,
know who
he's
else is
great
this
in the
movie?
Lego movie.
He is
He's
fantastic. in the
perfect
Lego
as
movie.
Emmett. Yeah.
Charlie Day's also great as a Rocket Boy. You can take something that people grew up with and it not just be some Skinamarink, oh my gosh, that's the toy Lego that we all recognize. I don't understand how people are arguing about people not liking Super Mario Bros. For it being paper thin and excusing it when I know y'all gave this movie right here 4 stars. So if you're giving Super Mario 4 stars, I know you don't agree that Super Mario is as good as this movie. That's all I'm asking. I am not saying you can't love
Absolutely.
Super Mario, but why y'all pretending that it isn't, that it's better than what the boys have already worked on? I went back to rewatch it. I went back
Lego?
as lighthearted as I can be. Look, that score is so good, it's duping people. That score is so
Oh, you're talking about Mario,
magical.
yeah.
Mario.
It's
A Lego
really
movie
good.
I've rewatched so many times, I know, yeah. But it's like,
Yeah.
it's trying to understand, like, what is it that people are willing to put aside and put aside the critiques they have for other movies. But they're so at home with this one, they're willing to look past it, right? Because
Right.
that's when you realize Thor stopped the last movie to do an Axe body spray commercial. Shazam stopped to do a Skittles commercial. The more we allow that to happen, like, we got there because of something else we've allowed to happen. We allow these to happen, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Rewatching it, you know, I understand why people get so enamored for it. It's so fast-paced. Before you can even think about, is this even a good story? You're on to the next thing. Like you said, we're critics. We look for certain things because we have the time and the privilege to do so. Man,
Yeah.
if it can get your kid to just watch this movie, you don't care about anything else. So I see it
Exactly.
being
And
effective for that.
beyond that, I think a lot of times people just sort of like misunderstand the difference between what a critic score is and what an audience score is, right? Because like audiences, that's a self-selecting group of people who've all already decided that they want to go see that movie opening weekend. So it's not, you're not getting any of the skeptics, you're not getting any of the people who are unsure, you're not getting the people who don't care about Mario, you're getting the biggest fans of the thing rating it. Whereas critics, at least ideally, and like critics don't always live up to this expectation, but at least ideally, critics are supposed to represent a wide range of opinions from a wide range of backgrounds, people who are familiar with the games and people who aren't, people who love video game adaptations and people who have never touched a Nintendo Switch. And like, if you look at a number like 56 and it maybe looks bad, but if I think about like the people in my life, I feel like I'd recommend Mario to about 50% of those people, right? Like I'm not going to recommend it to my parents or to my cousin who I know hasn't touched video games in 20 years. But I might recommend it to a different
with
cousin I
kids.
know who's got some young kids, right? Like it's just like not every movie has to be for everyone. And that I think is where people forget the purpose of the critics score. It's to communicate that. And again, you look at those negative reviews and even those say kids will probably enjoy it. Our review, which was negative, said that kids will probably enjoy it. Like you have to look past a simple thumbs up, thumbs down to read into that nuance, but people just want to look at the score and complain about critics and their agenda. and they're not liking Chris Pratt, or this movie isn't woke enough so they didn't like it, or this movie's too woke so now they didn't like it. And people,
we're back to the swing of things where one thing is both at the same time. You just got to pick which way you want to go to, and that's the craziest part. Like, it's not even Cubs versus Sox. I could pick a team there, and the box score is gonna stick to it. But here we like switch. You don't even know who you're arguing with. You're arguing with the person who agrees with you. That's when that's when the conversation gets out of hand. But hey, it's a fun movie that people have been enjoying. It was going to be a hit regardless of. Is there any property from Nintendo that you're looking forward to the most? You had mentioned Luigi's Mansion. Bro, they can knock it out of the park with Luigi's Mansion. I think they're going to have a good one up their sleeve in the future. We will come back to this one and be like, oh yeah, we knew that. Yeah, we knew it wasn't that good, but it was building up.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion to me is the one that feels most ready for like a cinematic adaptation. Like, while I really would love like a solo Donkey Kong movie or like a film set on Yoshi's Island, like I don't know what the story is, and if Illumination is any indication, they probably don't know what the story is there either. But yeah,
you like how Illumination got reviewed by everybody, and then this 9th, 11th film, this is the one that changes it.
Absolutely, right? I did think it was interesting. I don't know if you caught this news from a couple of years ago. I was reminded of it, that one of the members of one of the guys in charge of Illumination is now on Nintendo's board of directors.
They are intertwined, right?
Yes. So this is not like a one-off relationship. They are planning a lot more of these.
They play so coy. They have the Nintendo Cinematic Universe already in all of the interviews. But we don't know. We got to see how the first one works first. And it's like, stop. And that's our thing. It's like, just stop playing coy. Love the movie. Don't get mad someone else doesn't like. That's a weird way to review things. You must like it for me. No. It's the start of a huge franchise. I'm looking forward to the Star Fox movie. I want to see that in 40X. I might want to see this in 40X because I think that's been one of the biggest releases that they've been able to do with video game movies, is actually prove Scorsese right. These are theme park movies because they're prime to get you to the theme park. If you're able to, because I checked those tickets because the movie was effective. It had me searching up LA and Orlando. Woo, Zach. But it looks cool. Have you seen the theme park?
It looks unreal. It's nuts.
They have you play real life Mario with the animatronic Goomba. It's crazy. It looks fantastic. I'm excited to go at some point. But Mario, as Zach had stated over here, it has a huge... boot this one up. That's the Rotten Tomatoes one. A bunch of things coming in the horizon, not just with the parks that they have in store, but if you've ever had a favorite Nintendo property, chances are it is going to get some sort of series in the near future.